Alright guys, welcome back to another video, and today I'm really excited to again talk about some 3D on this channel, but something to help all you guys out here who are 3D fans like me. And we're going to talk today about how you can play 3D games in 2025. Now, I've done a lot of 3D videos in the past. As you guys are looking at here, this is my 3D Vision computer setup. If you guys remember back in the day, NVIDIA had a 3D driver. It was called 3D Vision. I had it when it first came out and I loved it. And unfortunately, they stopped supporting it as of like the 2000 series cards. So this computer that you're looking at here is basically a time machine. That's why it's in my retro game room, where the 2080 Ti, which is the last card you can have with these drivers, is what's in this computer. And I can play all the 3D Vision games that were made back in the day that you can play on here and, you know, enjoy. And there's a lot of DirectX 9 games and 10 games and 11 games that work on this system because of 3D Vision that it's on here. But of course, that means you can't use any updated drivers, so you can't use your 30 series cards, your 40 series cards, and now our 50 series cards. And a lot of 3D games obviously push the boundary of you needing more powerful cards because you're running the game 2 times and it's using a lot more, you know, power than you would need if you were just running the game once. So obviously, as you continue, as time keeps going on, sure, maybe a 3D Vision computer can run a DX11 game that just came out by using different profiles and stuff, but would you want to when you're running a 2080 Ti? Well, that's where this video comes in, because things have changed, and there's a lot of people out there who feel just like me and you do of how awesome 3D is. And 3D is kind of having a resurgence. I would have never thought that the Apple Vision Pro would have been ahead of the pack, with Apple releasing 3D movies on there and Disney being on board releasing their collection and all these things. But there's people in the community who are making 3D possible on these newer computers. So this video is for playing any game you can think of that we're going to be talking about in today's video by using our newest graphics cards. So whether you have a 20 series cards all the way up to the 50 series cards and beyond, it does not matter what graphics cards you're running, what driver you're running. It's a matter of what technology and which one of these platforms you're using. We're going to be talking today about 2 different ways to play it. So we're going to be talking about a projector, which is the Valerion Projector that I have, that I play 3D on now, which is fantastic. That's right next to this computer, which works out perfectly because I have an HDMI cable that runs from here all the way directly to the projector, and I can just easily swap back and forth when I need to, which is awesome. 120-inch screen. Obviously, whatever 3D projector you have would be the exact same thing I'm going to be talking about here. Now, I have a 3D TV, but it's downstairs. I'm not going to specifically be showing that on here, but whatever I show you today will also work on a 3D TV if you have one of those. No differences there. With the projector, it's all going to be the exact same setup that we're talking about here on how to do it. And then we're also going to be talking about using virtual desktop on VR as well, because playing VR, you know, is awesome. It's playing all these VR games. Obviously, that's why I got into VR, because I love 3D. But not every game is in VR. Not all of these newer games that are coming out, like the new Sonic Crosswords that just came out today, is going to be in 3D. But there are ways to get these games in 3D that you can play on a gigantic monitor, even if you don't have a 3D projector, even if you don't have a 3D monitor, if you have a Quest, like we're going to be showing, or if you have any VR headset out there that you can use virtual desktop on, which is what we're going to be using in today's video. You can do this yourself as well by using virtual desktop, which is a $20 piece of software that you use for wireless PC VR, or hooking it up via a link cable as well if you want to do it that way with the Oculus Quest 3. But it's going to be awesome to showcase this to you guys and show you how easy it is to get some of this stuff working. So I want to show you guys first. We're going to start off using the projector and showing you guys the settings on the 3 different pieces of software that we're going to be using here. The 3 of them, which are called Geo11, which is for all our DX11 type games. That we're going to be talking about using Geo11. Then there's also the UE4 Universal Fix, which is going to be covering any Unreal Engine 4 games can be used by this fix, which we're going to be talking about in this video. And then after that, it leaves Reshade, which covers the rest of the spectrum of almost any 2D game out there. And if you guys want to support me and the channel, make sure you check out the links down below to purchase a Quest if you haven't already, or this projector, or any other VR headsets that we mentioned in this video if you guys need to. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the video.
Gaming tech, eating brekkie is the gaming tech. Going for a brekkie is the gaming tech. Gaming techie is the gaming tech. Gaming techie.
Alright guys, so I want to talk about all 3 of these methods on how to get 3D working. We're going to show it in the projector first. And I'm going to show you guys the software that you need and how to set this up. And we're going to be going in order from, you know, the best all the way to the not as good, but still amazing regardless. So we're going to start off talking about Geo11. So when it comes to Geo11, the way that this software actually works is Geo11, like I said, is for all DX11 type games that are actually supported by Geo11. So this doesn't mean that you can play every DX11 game out there. Geo11 is the driver that's used, and it's made specifically for DX11 games. So the first thing you're going to need to do, so the piece of software that you're going to have to download for this is 3D Fix Manager. As you guys are looking at here, it's going to launch here in a second. And 3D Fix Manager on my computer that I'm running here right now basically lists all of the different games that 3D Fix Manager works with. Now, this software 3D Fix Manager is also something that was used by NVIDIA for NVIDIA 3D Vision for supported games that are still being worked on that I talked about. So those are for different drivers. So what you want to do when you download this software is there is a toggle right here at the top right that says instead of all fixed types, you want to change this to supports latest drivers, which means it's going to show you a list of all of these games that support the latest NVIDIA drivers. Otherwise, you're going to be looking at 3D Vision type stuff. And like I said, that supports earlier drivers with the 20 series cards and earlier. So you don't want to see those. You just want to see the latest supported drivers. And you can see there is a lot of different games on here that you can install. And you can sort it by either all games or just install games. Like, for example, I have a Plague Tale Innocence installed, Crash Bandicoot 4, Castles of Illusion, Dead Space, you got Doom on here, Euro Truck Simulator, you got Lego Star Wars, The Skyward Saga, No Man's Sky, Rocket League, Sonic Frontiers, Star Wars Squadrons, The Witcher 3, and those are just the ones that I have installed. You can see there is a ton of games on this list. There's 681 games on this list that have Geo11 support. And what's awesome about this is that it really doesn't get any easier. You install these games from Steam like you normally would, and then you launch this, and this will detect the games being installed in certain areas. And basically all you need to do, let's say that I go back to my installed games. Let's say I had a game here like this one installed. You can see there's a button right here in the middle that says Install 3D Fix. And all I do is hit that button, boom, Install 3D Fix. And it's using Geo11, and that's it. I'm done. It is now using the Geo11 driver to get 3D working on a Plague Innocence. And the other thing you need to do, and you only need to do the settings once, is you go into Settings and Display Profiles here. And in the Display Profiles, you want to change the setting that is 3D Magoto, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, Geo11 3D format. You want to change that to side by side. Which is what we're going to be using here. Side by side is the best way to do it. I have it set up for monitor, for projector, and TV profile. They're all set to side by side. So whatever, depending on what you're using, whether it's a monitor, projector, or TV, whatever it is, set that to side by side. So it always starts off that way when you launch the game. There's a button here that says you can play this in 3D. You can play it in 2D. So you can go ahead and launch it from here, whatever game you're actually doing. And that's basically all there is to it for Geo11. Like I said, this is the first method that we're talking about because Geo11 is the best version of 3D implementation. The reason being is because the 3D techniques that they're using are actual full 3D. So someone's actually creating these profiles and going into these games and actually fixing shadows that may not come up correctly and actually have real stereoscopic 3D. So this, if there's a game that you want to play in 3D, you want to see if it has Geo11 capability first, if it's a DX11 title, because that will be the best 3D that you can get because it's true stereoscopic 3D. It was tuned in. The developers of this actually went in and, fixed the shadows or fixed whatever was broken with it, whatever the case may be, to make the game run as good as possible. And then once you have it running, it really is as simple as just launching the game here. And I'm going to show you guys this on my projector. So I'm going to go to Crash Bandicoot and I'm going to just hit the play in 3D button. We're going to go ahead and swing this camera around so you guys can see it as we're launching this. First, we're going to launch it on here. It's asking me to choose your display because I set it up for all three. I'm going to choose projector here because that's what it's going to go on. And after a few seconds, you can see it launched over here on my screen. My projector is going off over there, but it's obviously on this screen right now. And you can see it has the UE4 engine popping up right now with the installed fix. Now you can just hit the F2 button to get rid of that. You can see it's already being displayed in the split screen mode of side by side. Now, for the most part, every single game that's in Geo11 already has the fixes done correctly, so you shouldn't have to do anything in the settings. But if you have to alter something like the stereoscopic 3D, like how much depth there is and stuff like that, that's what this menu is for, and it shows you everything that you can change by hitting different things like you know, the HUD being displayed or the conversions and all that stuff. I don't usually mess with any of that because, like I said, this is usually set up correctly already. So now that this is here, I'm just going to hit on my keyboard the Windows key, the Shift key to switch it over to the left to bring it over to my projector. Now you can see here on my Valerion projector what we have going on. So the first thing we need to do on a Valerion projector specifically, because we want to get the best brightness levels, and you only turn this on when you're doing 3D. Like I talked about in my previous video, you don't really want to use this for movies or playing games otherwise, unless if it's in 3D, because it washes out the image. But in 3D, it really does make the image a lot better, which is the brightness enhancer mode. You want to set this all the way to high. It usually is turned off for anything else, and that will set that up. So you can see the images side by side. So you just hit the menu on the Valerion projector. Mine's set to HDR game, which is what you would want it set to. And then you're going to go over to scroll over and choose 3D. You can see it's set to off. And if you scroll down, you can hit side by side. It's going to go ahead and take the image here. And boom, now we have it side by side here. Now, of course, you're not going to be able to see this in 3D right now for yourselves. But just to show you guys that it works, you can see I have these 3D glasses on me right here that I'm wearing to play this game. These are the glasses that come here, and they're battery operated, and I just go ahead and continue, and boom, it is now in 3D. I'm gonna go ahead and hit continue, and I wish you guys can see how amazing this looks in 3D. Like, you can tell that this was, and I'm using, of course, an Xbox 360 controller that's wirelessly coming from my PC in the other room, which is another reason why this works out so perfectly. My cable's plugged into this projector directly from my PC, and my Xbox controller still reaches in the other room to play wirelessly without having any issues. And if you could see how good this looks right now and how much pop there is out of the screen, it is insane. Like, this is literally jumping off the screen. The quality is insane, and it is perfectly mimicked. And sorry about that shadow over here on the side of the screen right here, the little brightness light. That's because brightness is coming right now through my door because the sun's going down, so don't mind that. But yeah, this looks amazing. I can't even tell you how good Crash right now looks. With Geo11. Like I said, Geo11's the best way that you want to play a game like this, and this just looks so good. It's so smooth. Geo11 does require more processing power for a game, so you are gonna, you know, it's running the game twice essentially, and it's running it in true stereoscopic 3D. So this is gonna be the one that takes the most amount of extra juice to basically run. I have a 59, and you're running a PC, so depending on the game, you may need a powerful graphics card. It just kind of depends, but you can see here in Crash, I mean, like I said, I wish I can show you how good this actually looks if you guys were here with me. But it looks fantastic, and it plays so well. And like I said, it is native to the glasses. Like, you would never know that this game wasn't made in 3D. Like, Geo11, when they do these fixes and stuff like that, the games look just as good as if they were made in 3D today. Like, literally no difference at all. It is crazy. And I just fell because I wasn't paying attention. But you guys get the idea. And you could do this with any of those 680 games on here very, very easily. And it just works that well. And usually you don't have to touch much of anything when it comes to that. So let's go ahead and turn off the side-by-side here on the settings so we can see the screen again. And we will rotate to the next one. So you guys just saw how easy Geo11 was there, where you're just going through, you're installing 3D Fix Manager, you can use all the fixes and install the fixes right from there for the games. Then you start the games in 3D, and 9 out of 10 times you don't even have to touch any of the conversion settings or anything like that, but you can if you need to. At least not on my projector, I didn't have to do any of that. And it works amazing, just like you guys just saw on there, with no problems at all. So the next one we're going to talk about is the UE4 fix that we were talking about before. So this is specifically for Unreal Engine 4 titles. So not Unreal Engine 5, just Unreal Engine 4 titles. And this is a universal fix. So theoretically, it could work with any Universal 4 game out there. Now, of course, this being a universal fix, there's going to be games that work better than others. Some of them may have slight issues with shadows and stuff like that that you may need to play with and look in the Discord and see what people are doing with the settings to maybe adjust it. But for the most part, most of the games I've tried are still working pretty well without doing much of anything like I talked about, besides installing this UE4 fix, which I'm going to show you right now. We got a couple of them here. Gigabash, I already installed the mod, so we're going to do Life is Strange Remastered, which is a UE4 game. So basically, you download the universal fix that you see here that has these files. So I'm going to go ahead and unzip this folder, and just extract it to its own folder. Now, what I like to do is I open up this file here, and before I put it in the game directory, because I've had some issues where I tried to run this in the game directory and it doesn't launch, I hit this 0000 start Geo11, which is going to pop up this box right here, and it's going to ask me, please choose your output mode. Do you want to do DX11, DX9, side by side, top and bottom, blah, blah, blah. And like I said, for most of the people out there like me and you, we're going to do side by side because that's what Virtual Desktop uses for Quest and for all our other VR headsets with Virtual Desktop, and then that's what a lot of Projectors also use as well, and it's usually the best method. So here you're going to go ahead and type 2, that is the side-by-side mode, and then it's going to say, do you want to do normal launch? And I'm going to go ahead and hit normal launch. Now, of course, it's not going to actually launch anything because the files are in a directory yet, but what this did is it saved the fact that I want to make sure that the game actually launches in side-by-side, because I've had some issues running that when I put it in the game directory and then I have no way of changing it to side-by-side, and it keeps starting in stereoscopic view, so which is not what we want. So now that we have these files here, you can use these files for any game. You can copy and paste all of these over and over again. You don't need anything else at that point. So I'm going to go ahead and copy these. I can go ahead and delete the original zip because I'm not going to need it anymore. We're going to go to Life is Strange Remastered, and we're going to go ahead and hit Browse. And we're going to browse a local directory, and then UE4 games are usually all in the same directories. When you open up the Life is Strange Remastered folder, you're going to see this folder here. Usually the directory is pretty much the same. You're looking for the exe in the binary binaries folder. So in this case, it's LIS folder, then binaries, then 164. And then when you get to the 164 folder, you're going to see these files right here. I'm going to go ahead and just paste the ones from over there. And boom, these are now pasted in here. So now all we need to do as we go ahead and close this out, we go ahead and launch the game here, Life is Strange Remastered, and you're going to see here in a second it is going to launch in side-by-side mode. There you go. Now you can see you have the Unreal Engine game starting off in side-by-side mode, and then you have the UE4 menu if you need to mess with the conversions and stuff like that. If you don't, you just hit F2 and it disappears. I usually don't have to mess with any of that, but if you need to, you can. So you have those options right there if you want to mess with that. And it gives you all the controls that you need to. But most of the time for Unreal Engine games, you just do this, and that's all you need to do. So that's how easy it is to get Unreal Engine 4 games working. Universal fix, like I said, for most of the games out there. Some of them may work better than others, like I said, but for the most part, 90 and 95% of them are going to be flawless right after doing what I just told you for the most part. And you have a gigantic library of UE4 games now. So you got the Geo11 specific made games that we talked about first. Now you have the Unreal Engine 4 games, and then we got one more we got to talk about here that we're going to talk about now.
So this last 3D fix we're going to be talking about here for the rest of the games that either aren't Unreal Engine 4 games that you can use that last one we just told you about, or is not, anything that Geo11 does on its own. Then you rely on Reshade here, and Reshade is the simplest one of them, but it's what people kind of call fake 3D because it's not really using natural stereoscopic 3D. It's actually using the files that come with the game and stuff like that to basically analyze them and do 3D on the fly. But you know what? To my eyes, yes, the ones in Geo 3D and Geo 11 and stuff are better quality because you can tell that things are perfectly aligned. They had fixes done to them, blah, blah, blah. But for the fact that, like, obviously you can't have every game done that way because it's not easy to keep up with all the games that come out. So the fact that we have this reshade ability with SuperDepth 3D that works as well as it does, and I wish I could convey it on this video, it is kind of amazing because it's super simple to install. And let me show you. So right here on my Steam library, I again have another section here called New PC SuperDepth, and I have like Disney Speedstorm that I tried with this, NBA 2K Playgrounds 2, Nickelodeon's All-Star Brawl 2, I got Red Dead Redemption 2, and Sonic Racing Crossworlds, a new one that literally just came out today, which is what we're going to be showing off here. So basically all you do is you go ahead and open up Reshade here, and you can see it just starts opening and looking for all the different games that are installed on your machine here. And I'm going to go scroll through and look for Sonic Racing Crossworlds, which is right here, the exe that it's found. And you just go ahead and hit next, and then it looks for the engine the rendering API that it uses. Usually it finds it automatically like it did here, where it says it's DirectX 10, 11, or 12. Just choose the one that the game has if it didn't select one automatically for you, which is simple enough. Hit next, and then you're going to get to this window here, which tells you which effects you want Reshade to use. Now, what you're looking for here is you want to unselect the Sweet FX. That's going to be checked off automatically. And then you want to select Depth 3D. by Blue Sky Defender, and then also select SuperDepth 3D.fx. So you're going to check both of those right there, as you can see, that are highlighted, and then you go ahead and hit next, and that's it. You hit finish, and then now you're going to go ahead and just launch the game, Sonic Racing Cross Worlds here. Nothing special. And then basically the way Reshade works is you can see there's a message here on the top of the screen that's telling me to hit the home button to go through the little tutorial. And then here pops up the little tutorial that it talks about, as you can see in the upper corner. And it's just telling me this is the first time you're running Reshade on this game. Press continue, and you can skip the tutorial if you need to. You're going to hit continue twice. And then you're going to make sure that you have selected here SuperDepth 3D, which is the one that's highlighted and checked off. Then you're going to go ahead and hit continue again. And then you're going to have these properties here at the bottom, which I'm going to go ahead and grab and just scroll all the way up by just moving the menu all the way up. And this is the only thing I adjust on here. So when you scroll down, you're going to get to a portion that says depth map. So what I usually do is I usually have the game set to, as a starting point, 75 for near plane adjustment, and then 100 for auto near plane. Now this is adjusting the 3D depth that's on here. Now when you mess with this, if you put it too high, like if you set it to 100, you may have a lot of like glowing effects around different objects around the game. So you want to make sure that you kind of balance this out. You could just leave it at default, but then the 3D is not going to be as pronounced. So for me, I start most games at those two settings, 75 and 100. And I've had good luck with that. With every game I've tried it with so far, the 3D depth is pronounced and really good and pop out effective. And haven't had any issues with the 5 games that I just mentioned as far as having to lower it any more than that. But when I did go to 100 on the near plane adjustment, I did get a lot of like glowing effects around the, let's like a mirror / glowing effect around the person. It's hard to show on camera on 3D objects, so you don't want that because that's going to annoy people. So once you have this set here, you just go ahead and hit finish once you have it the way you want. And that's it. It is set for good on the game. You go ahead and hit home, and then you're done. That game is set for good from now on. We're going to go ahead and go into this room here. I just switched it over to this screen, and we're looking at Sonic Racing Cross Worlds here, as you can see. And of course, I got to use my projector here and turn on the setting that we did before for 3D. Oh, and we got that stupid Windows pop-up there in the corner that we're going to have to get rid of. All right, so we grab our remote here. Now that we're at the main menu, we're going to go ahead and just go to the 3D, just like we talked about before. We're going to switch it to side by side. We got our glasses here on our heads. And now we are playing this game in 3D. It's not very 3D in the main menu, so just keep that in mind when you're here, because there's nothing too crazy about playing it in 3D when you're here. But if I go ahead, I mean, Sonic right there, the characters are definitely 3D. I'm popping off the screen right there with their kart racers and stuff in their vehicles. That looks awesome right there, popping out of your screen. But when you get into the racing, that's when it really goes in there. So we've played the first 2 cups here, so let's go ahead and choose this one here just so we can take a look. And yeah, this looks amazing right here. You can see it already as it's scrolling through the stage. And I think what impresses me the most is how easy and effortless this was to get 3D working on a game that never had the intention of being in 3D. And like I said, they call this quote-unquote fake 3D, but if you would have told me this was real 3D, I would have not like judged you and been like, no, this doesn't look very good. For the games that I've tried so far, of course I haven't tried every single one. I just tried those 5 that I just mentioned, but I'm going to keep trying more. Those are just the first 5 that I wanted to try. This works extremely well. And this game literally just came out. And playing this in 3D right now, and I'm about to fall off the stage, really adds an element of awesomeness. Not only is this game super fun, I love Sonic Cross Worlds. I knew that when I played the demo, just for all you guys to know. But now it gives me a reason to play this over Mario Kart, because now I can play this in 3D, which Mario Kart World I can't. So it just gives me a reason to play this game over Mario Kart sometimes when I'm in the mood to play something in 3D. Because, at least in the games that I just told you, these 5, while I'm playing these games, you don't notice anything that's wrong with this game. Like, the depth of everything is in the perfect place for my eye. The Sonic and stuff like that is like going through the way it's supposed to. There's nothing weird going on with like, and everything is set to max as far as like the shadow quality and all the graphics settings and all that stuff. And it's running super smooth at the 60 frames per second that this projector handles at 4K. And it just looks awesome. And I just ran right into that. Oh, we got some slime on us. We're not doing very well. But yeah, this game is super fun, and I can't believe how well this game is working in 3D with such a simple, tweak of the settings, and like it works like this for every game. And like I said,
They can call it fake 3D all they want. It looks great in 3D, and I would rather play like this than, you know, not play in 3D. That's for sure. This looks so much better on this projector in 3D and gives it something different than, you know, playing it in regular. Looks super, super awesome. Obviously, it's unfortunate that there's not really a great way for me to convey what I'm seeing on these glasses right now besides just telling you guys what I see. But it is super, super fun. And looking at these courses in 3D for a new game is really fun. But yeah, this is awesome. I'm not going to make you guys sit through more of this. Like I said, it's that simple to try any game you could think of in 3D that doesn't support the other two methods that we just talked about before. So I'm going to go ahead and quit this and exit out of this. It's just really, really cool stuff what you can do on here. And yeah, I'm super happy with how all of this turned out. All right, guys, so here we are with Virtual Desktop here, and we are featuring the Play for Dream right now because I feel like the Play for Dream is the best way right now to play wireless PC VR, like I talked about in my review. But of course, you can use Virtual Desktop on the Quest as well. So if you want to do exactly what I'm about to show you in 3D and play all these fantastic games in 3D in Virtual Desktop, you can do the exact same thing. So right here, I'm looking at my PC in front of me in Virtual Desktop, and I really like the Play for Dream because I'm wearing the Panda VR like mod that I got, the comfort mod that basically opens up these sides right here. So I had the maximum FOV because I can get really close to the lenses now because there's no cushion here. There's only a cushion on top, and it's really comfortable, but my eyes get really close to the lenses. So my FOV is like as max as it can possibly get on here. I don't know exactly what it is, but it feels good as far as the maximum FOV, so this feels good. So anyway, you can play any of the games that I just talked about in the exact same fashion that I talked about on this screen. So, for example, if I go ahead now and open up, Disney Speedstorm, another game that I was playing in 3D before, this one uses the SuperDepth Reshade that I was talking about. I can just go ahead and hit play. You can see it's going to launch here in a minute. Where did I put my controller? It's over here. And you can see right in front of me on the main desktop window, it is opening up in side by side, just like it's supposed to when you install Reshade, like I showed you. While you're in Virtual Desktop, you just point down at the monitor here. You can see you pop up all these different options. Antigraph, over, under, full SBS. You want to do half SBS. And boom, this is now in half SBS here. And now I am playing this game in 3D. I got my controller in my hand. If I want to look at the options here just to make sure everything is set correctly. Yep, we got everything good to go.
Oh, I'm ready.
Oops, wrong thing. And like I said, some games will definitely work better than others. This game does work really well. Let's just go ahead and claim this real quick. From when I was playing before.
Don't worry, I know.
This definitely has like good 3D, like as far as like pop out. Like I can see like the pop out and stuff like that. Let's go ahead and pick this one here.
Mickey Mouse is Who's ready for a rootin' good time?
And it's moving through. And you can see while we're racing here in Disney Speedstorm, it just looks fantastic. It works really well. And like I said, you can do this with any of the three methods that I showed you. You could just launch the game. Once you set them up once, they're ready to go in 3D the next time. So you don't have to like readjust settings every time or redo anything. Once you set it up once, like I showed you, whether it be with Reshade or whether it be with the SuperDepth 3D, whether it be with Geo11 or whether it be with the Universal Fix, you just launch them from Steam like you just saw me do here. It goes on your monitor, you turn on the Virtual Desktop SBS mode, and then you're kind of done and ready to go. Just so you guys can see. So it'd be also awesome to just as much, you know, having these OLED panels on the Play for Dream also gives you a fantastic way to just be in a dark cinema here. So I have this gigantic theater that I'm in right now. And I can go ahead and move these monitors anywhere I want them to go. If I want to move these to the side, these are my other two monitors that I have going on. But now I have this gigantic screen in front of me. And again, I can move this to this screen instead.
just very easily like that from multiple monitors that I have open. And now I can also play Geo11 games. So like I said, these are, the other ones that I have on here. So we talked about Crash before and some of the other ones that are on here. But you can play any of these that you want to and just, continue playing these. Like, for example, let's go ahead and do Nickelodeon's All-Stars Brawl. Fantastic game to play on here. All right, here we go. We are now playing in 3D. Playing this game. Super fun. And now I'm playing this 3D world right now. Just sitting here. Super fun stuff. Gives new life to some of these games that you didn't get to play before.
Alright guys, so I hope you guys enjoyed that video on 3D there and how you can play current games in 2025 on 3D. It's really awesome that we have all these different ways, thanks to the community out there who are building these things, that we can still enjoy 3D to this day. If you would have told me a few years ago that we were going to have a resurgence of 3D when it comes to watching movies on the Apple Vision Pro or in VR in general, or still be able to use 3D projectors like I showed here, and we were going to be able to play not just old games from the 3D Vision platform that I've shown on this channel before, but now we can actually play current games, whether we have 3D projectors or still have 3D TVs. But even if you don't, now we have VR where you can have gigantic, massive screens in front of us that we can still play 3D games on, and it's gotten this simple. I mean, what I just showed you here is pretty simple stuff as far as getting this stuff to work in a reasonably good way, and you can dial it in if you want to mess with those settings to get it perfect if you want to. But the fact that it, like, for the most part, a lot of these games take less than 5 minutes to like do that real quick setting, and then you're off and running, whether it be on a projector or in VR on the Quest or Play for Dream or the Pimax headsets, whatever the case may be, that you can use virtual desktop on is freaking awesome. And it's a great way to experience 3D. And, it's just as good as what NVIDIA 3D Vision used to be back then. And nowadays, watching 3D movies is even better in VR or on these projectors than they ever were back in the day, thanks to like 4K and getting the full 1080p resolution of these Blu-rays and stuff. So it's just really, really cool stuff. If you guys have any questions about anything you guys have seen, as always, leave those down below. If not, thank you guys for watching. Till next time.